Hi, I'm Chris MacDonald and I'm really interested in industrial strategy, and I'm here in the magnificent surroundings of the library at Armourers Hall in the City of London, where I'm chairing the 3rd annual symposium on ferrous metallurgy, and I'm joined by our keynote speaker of the day, Jon Bolton, and Jon's agreed to have a conversation with me about his thoughts on the steel industry and what he's achieved in his career. So welcome, Jon, and thanks for agreeing to do this. So I thought we might start off, Jon, if you want to just tell us a bit about how you got involved in the steel industry and why it is that you're so enthusiastic about encouraging other people to work in the industry as well. What is it that's gripped your interest in the steel industry over all these years?
Well, this could be a long well, the short form is that actually my start, as I think you know, was I was given the opportunity to get involved in the industry when I was 14 years old. What is now MPI used to be the British Steel Labs at Grangetown, and I did some work experience there, which was 2 weeks when I was introduced to an industry that I then just captured my imagination. I then was sponsored by British Steel and spent my time in my early stages in work experience. I went to every process within the steel industry, in the steel process, and it was the heavy end that really caught my imagination. So steel making, you know, at a very young age, being put in charge of a shift at a steel plant, seeing 350 tons of steel being lifted over your head, and you've got the responsibility on a shift. You were given a responsibility early on. So it got in my blood, and from there on, I think, I was given fantastic opportunity by the industry, given the responsibility, but also I moved around, not just the UK, but the world. I had 5 years in the States, building a brand new steel works. And before moving back to the UK in various jobs in Europe. So it's something that has really sort of gripped me from day one, and you asked the supplementary question of why I'm interested in getting more people involved, is that, you know, I think if we could get more people engaged very early on to see what it can offer, not just in terms of steel processing or engineering, but actually it's one of those industries that actually encompasses so many opportunities. You could start as an engineer and find your way into finance or strategy or HR or whatever you want to do. It's been part of that family, which is so encouraging and so supportive.
Yeah, and in your time in the steel industry, I mean, you've experienced that it's also a really challenging industry to work in because it's so competitive and so on as well. And the UK industry's had some problems, but you wrote an article in the Yorkshire Post recently where you were pointing to a future opportunity for steel in the UK and what the industry could do. Do you want to just tell us what your thoughts are on that?
Absolutely, and I think it's one of the things that we've sort of lived through a period. Many people probably listening or watching this will have lived through that period where it's always been about efficiency, cost reduction, survival in many ways, short-termism. But actually, I think we are in a situation now whereby there are so many pressures on the industry, constructive pressures to actually drive a change, not least of which is environmental change as well. But I think some of the changes, some of the technical processes that are now available to us, I think allow us to become more competitive. We can reduce our costs. We can produce high-performance products for less. We can compete and displace a significant number of imports. I don't know how many people realise we use 16 million tonnes of steel a year in the UK, and we import about 11 million tonnes. It's double what we manufacture. Now, if we can get the costs right, and we get the processes right, we can do that economically, we can displace those imports, and we can do it in such a way to be far more environmentally friendly. So I think, you know, the stars are beginning to align.
So I think change. When you mention the environmentally friendly, there's a good carbon argument there, isn't there? Because this imported steel is largely through carbon emissions where it's produced. But you think in the UK we could find a way through to making this steel zero carbon, essentially? Is there, you know, how do you think the industry can do that?
No, indeed. So I think if you look at the cost, both from a capital perspective and an operating perspective of actually running traditional steel business, I'm not just talking about the UK. You know, it's wherever you're manufacturing steel. It is very high cost. I think the opportunity, and it's a high cost from an environmental perspective. So you're generating 2 tonnes of CO2 for every tonne of steel you manufacture. Now, you can drop that significantly by moving to an electric arc furnace process. And where you've got a competitive energy supply, which is a step we need to take in the UK, you've got a huge amount of scrap that's arising in developed economies. In the UK, that's about 10 million tonnes a year and rising. convert that rather than bring virgin material halfway around the world. Convert that using competitive renewable energy in electric arc furnaces, and potentially gives you the opportunity to almost eliminate CO2 generation. Now, I'm not saying tomorrow you stop using blast furnaces. I'm not saying that at all. I think there has to be some combination of the two technologies to enable us to supply the products that are demanded by the customer.
Yeah, I mean, so what you described there, I think, is a really exciting prospect for people who want to come into the industry.
Yes.
And I know that's a particular passion of yours. You set up a scheme called Industrial Cadets that I think is 10 years old now. Do you want to just tell us a bit about how you got involved in setting that up and what you think it's achieved?
Yeah, it's one of those things that sort of came out of adversity in many ways. There was and I'll take a little bit of credit for it, but a lot of the credit goes also to His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, of all people. We had one of the Business in the Community Seeing is Believing events on Teesside 10 years ago, on the back of the first time we were looking at potentially stopping steelmaking on Teesside. And he came up with this challenge of, well, how do you encourage and motivate young people to get into industry when this is happening? And we need to somehow address that sort of aspiration level in young people. And he talked about cadets and scouts and groups like that. And we came up with the concept of industrial cadets. And we ran some programs initially on Teesside. And cutting a very long story short, using his ability to network, we got an organisation called EDT involved. And they have grown that along with the help of many companies. So now we've got, in the space of 10 years, we've got 50,000 young people involved as industrial cadets. We've got 300 companies, and these are blue chip companies involved. The Airbuses, the Rolls Royces, the Jaguar Land Rovers, the armed forces are involved, the aerospace companies as a federation are involved. And we are encouraging more and more people and giving them that insight into industry, which potentially encourages them to form a career or start a career in that industry.
I mean, you must be incredibly proud of that, I think, from that small thing to have grown like that. And I guess when you look back on your career, there are a whole number of quite amazing achievements, not least winning the Bessemer Gold Medal from the Institute of Materials this year. But you've recently decided to have a career change. You've recently, at a pretty young age, you've decided to step down as Chief Executive of the Liberty Steel Group, and you're embarking on a new career as a steel consultant. So what is it that's driving you forward now? What do you want to achieve in this later stage of your career?
Well, I think, thank you for the young age comment, I appreciate it. It's true. But I kind of, I've done a lot, and Liberty gave me that opportunity to do a lot of things I wanted to do in sort of growing businesses and get involved in rescuing some businesses, absolutely, that I still felt had life in them, and that's proved to be the case. And certainly in the recent acquisitions of all the Eastern European and Central European businesses that have huge potential. You see lots of parallels with the lessons or the story that we've seen evolve in the UK. But I think now is the time, partly it's a work-life balancing, because it was involved a lot of travel, a lot of hard work. But now I'm kind of refocusing on what's right from a UK perspective, which is still something that's passionate, I know, to Liberty, but I can maybe step back from that a little bit and try and get the balance right. But I'm still passionate about the sector, still passionate about manufacturing, getting more people encouraged. The event you're holding today is brilliant, to see so many young people actually, forging a career, carrying out, doing PhDs in metallurgy is a wonderful thing. And what I'd like to do is encourage those people to continue to forge a career in this industry.
What a great positive note to end on. So thanks very much for that, Jon.
You're more than welcome.
And thank you all for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed this conversation. Of course, if you want to see more of this, then get along to my YouTube channel and press the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss out. Bye for now.